Okay, so in the last video, we talked about the concept of demand. But here's the thing. In order for consumers to actually purchase pizza, someone else has to actually produce the pizza. After all, if nobody produces pizza, then no one can buy the pizza. So, generally speaking, the more you get paid to produce something, the more of it you will produce. Conversely, the less you get paid to produce a thing, the less of it you'll produce. This is called the first law of supply. And generally speaking, what it means is that the supply curve is upward sloping. Again have the same axis that we had before. Basically, it states that the supply curve slopes up. And we can remember this really easily because the word supply literally has the word up in it. Now we can learn two things from the supply curve. For one, we can learn how much pizza you'll produce at a given price. So let's say your supply curve is given by the equation Q is equal to 2P. If you could sell your pizza for $10 each, then you would be willing to produce 2 times 20, I'm sorry, 2 times 10, which is equal to 20. If your pizza could only sell for $3 each, then you would be willing to produce a maximum of 6 because 2 times 3 is equal to 6, and so on and so forth. And we can do this for any price. We also know the minimum price that you'd be willing to accept to sell each successive, or as we said before, each marginal pizza. For example, to get you to sell your first pizza to me, I'd only have to pay you 50 cents because 1 is equal to 2 times half of a dollar. To get you to sell me a second pizza, I'd have to pay you $1 just for that second pizza because 2 is equal to 2 times 1. To get you to sell me just a third pizza, I would have to pay you $1.50 because again, 3 is equal to 2 times 1.5. Okay? And we could continue on and on and on. So let's suppose that the price of pizza was $2. Okay, so if the price of pizza is equal to $2, we can analyze each successive pizza. So would you sell the first one? Of course. You're willing to sell it for 50 cents and you get to sell it for $2, which sounds like a win to you. Would you sell the second pizza? Of course you would. You're willing to sell it for $1 and you get to sell it for 2. Okay, so here, the first pizza, you're willing to sell it for 50 cents and you get $2. For the second pizza, you would be willing to sell the second pizza for $1. You get to keep or you get to charge $2 for it. The third pizza, the minimum you'd be willing to sell it for is $1.50. You get to sell it for 2. That sounds like a win. The fourth pizza, you're willing to sell it for no less than $2 and you get to sell it for $2. So you would be indifferent towards selling the fourth pizza. Now this illustrates, just like before, the important concept of producer surplus. Producer surplus, just like its twin consumer surplus, is the additional value that producers get from an exchange. So when you were willing to sell the first pizza for 50 cents, but you were able to do it for $2, right? This additional value here would be equal to $1.50. And when you're willing to sell the second pizza for $1, but you get to sell it for $2, well, then that's the same thing as getting an additional dollar worth of benefit. And the third pizza, you're willing to sell it for $1.50. You get to sell it for 2. That gives you 50 cents of additional value. The fourth pizza is a wash because you're willing to sell it for 2. You get to sell it for 2. So there's no additional producer surplus from doing so. So the total producer surplus in this example would be $1.50 plus $1 plus 50 cents, which is equal to $2. Okay? And so, what we have here is a numerical value for the additional money that producers of pizza get from the exchange.